We call it people technology.
So the insanity in the IPL lasted one day. So we've had conventional cricketing wisdom prevail on the second consecutive day in Dubai, where the Delhi Capitals have flexed some serious muscle. They've beaten the Sunrisers Hyderabad quite comprehensively by 8 wickets in Dubai. They consolidate their place at the top of the table, and Sunrisers Hyderabad now you think are just edging towards an official knockout from being eligible for the playoffs. Sanjay Manjrekar and Dale Steyn on Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for T20 timeout. That is as straightforward, Sanjay, as a victory gets, and it sort of shows the gulf between the two teams where they were on the points table coming into the UAE. And Sanjay will take that question later. I will first put it to Dale Steyn, who is with me. As Sanjay has had enough of me at
Yeah.
11 in the night.
Yeah, Delhi just looked absolutely dominant. The batting looked a bit boring, but what they needed, they didn't do anything flashy. And then Pant came out with some aggression from ball one. He just looked like he wasn't going to mess around. They got themselves into a strong position, and he was just like, "Cool, I'm going to finish this off right now." And that's exactly what he did. Him and Aya did a great job of just steering the ship home for Delhi. But overall, just a complete dominant performance from Delhi tonight.
Well, Dale and me have heard
Agrees.
that sound many times.
She agrees.
Let me go to Sanjay. Yeah, that's a howl from every Sunrisers Hyderabad fan saying we're not going to make it. We're out of the IPL. So, Sanjay, it's disappointing. We thought maybe the Sunrisers could be the nothing to lose sort of team. Maybe they're dangerous. They could nick a few wins along the way, but this didn't show that.
Yeah, and a team that looks strong on paper and appeared strong on the field as well. We sometimes look too much into match rustiness and match fitness, but when you've got some serious ability and a great attitude, all those things, become slightly unimportant. Look at Shreyas Iyer making a comeback after a long gap and looked the part. Rishabh Pant also from Test format to T20 cricket. Shikhar Dhawan. I mean, how good has he become as a T20 batter? So when you have ability, I guess those kind of things sort of pale in the background. The
Yeah.
match fitness and the fact that we were also talking about this pitch being a little difficult, slow bounce and stuff like that. But when you have quality players, it all looks very manageable, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm very curious about the Delhi Capitals here. It's about individuals more so, because really there's only so much we can discuss about a game. There was one team clearly better than the other. But Shreyas Iyer, Shikhar Dhawan, we spoke of Ashwin earlier on, Akshar Patel's had a good game. The announcement of the T20 World Cup squad coming before the others out is out there to prove a point, do their thing. Whoever is in is secure. It almost in some ways seems like this is the team where there are different things that motivate them, but that could almost make them more dangerous, Sanjay.
You remember Gautam Gambhir on T20 time or talking about that being one of the issues that Delhi Capitals will have to tackle with, because a lot of the young players were knocking at the doors of international cricket, T20 cricket for India. But you're right, that is gone. I mean, for example, Shreyas Iyer, you could see the air of confidence and how relaxed he looked may have been slightly different if he's unsure about his immediate future. So, all that is, nice to see. Yes, I think that somewhere does count in, but, the team is looking superb. And it was really nice to see some quality hitting and quality batting because we missed that a little bit. We saw Rahul and Mayank Agarwal get some runs, but overall, batting has looked a little inefficient, but brilliant tonight.
They've also got one thing going well, Dale, which is Henrik Nokia now is here to stay in this team.
Definitely. And also from a batting point of view, they still had Hetmeyer to come, and I don't know how Steyn was doing, but they still had Steyn to come. So, they're strong in the batting lineup right now. And in the bowling lineup, they look crazy. Anna bowling the speeds that he's bowling on on that particular wicket tonight. That's exactly what was needed. And you see, even Sunrisers bowlers, their seamers they bowled nicely. They just couldn't have the same kind of breakthrough that Delhi had. Jason Holder got some bounce, and the other seamers did their part. But they were just outmatched by a better team tonight, Sunrisers.
What do you do if you're the Sunrisers now? You're out of the IPL playoff contentions. There are still a lot of individual calls you might want to make. Dale, today, you saw Khalil Ahmed start. I wonder if you would have started any differently. Try to just get things going differently the way KKR showed. You can do things differently in the second half of the IPL. It didn't quite work for them today. But how do you handle a team like the Sunrisers now? What are the things that you can still look to achieve in this season?
Well, all of these guys are professional, so they're all going to want to finish well. That's one thing. They also all know, and they know that there's a big auction happening next year. So nobody
Yeah.
wants to go out there and just feel like, "Oh, I'm going to throw this away because we're at the bottom of the table." They want to show that they're class players. They want to win a couple games to get some confidence and show other teams out there that if there's some interest in them, that they're available. They're just in a bad hole right now. We see that happen almost every IPL where one team just can't get it together, even though it's got fantastic names and great players in it. They just seem to be in a little bit of a hole and they just can't kind of get themselves out. But they're all professional, and every single one of them will want to do something in the remainder of this IPL to show how good they actually are, and put their hand up to come back for next year's IPL too, whether it be with Sunrisers or with another team.
Sanjay?
Yeah, nothing different to really add. And Dale is absolutely right. There's one team every IPL that just struggles to get
Yeah.
everything going. So try and pick the best players on ability. Hopefully they find form and some magic happens. Their spin today looked inadequate. Just Rashid Khan, and that's it. Seam bowlers like Sandeep Sharma, in these kind of conditions, not as much value as on low bounce, dusty pitches in India. So they'll have to look at that, but keep soldiering on, as they say.
Would you now sort of say, let's find out, if there is something we can learn from the last few games, that whether or not they retain David Warner is a big question mark. You'd think with the way they went in the first leg that perhaps they won't. Rashid Khan seems to be the only guy you want to retain, Sanjay. But would you like to look at things like, right, let's give Abdul Samad some time up the order. Let's maybe try Basil Thampi for a bit. Are you already reaching there for the Sunrisers now? Because it seems like a campaign downhill otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tempting option to have somebody like Thampi coming to replace Sandeep Sharma, because we know exactly what the best of Sandeep Sharma is, and what is the worst of him. He's a trier. So those are the options that you can. Khalil Ahmed today was promising, so that's something good that came out from today's game. So keep looking at the options that you have, and yeah, the serious concern now is Warner. I know it was very early, that dismissal, but again, the way he got out made you wonder, what's happening to this guy. So, yeah,
All right, as that you can almost sense it. We're almost feeling sorry for the Sunrisers here. They look like a good team. They're just not giving us enough to talk about. But the Capitals are. And if is there anything from this team that perhaps Delhi Capitals would be saying we could still improve on? Is R. Ashwin the bowler just a matter of time that they'll come through, or is Amit Mishra a tempting option if we're just going on what could make this team stronger?
Well, I know one thing is that when your team is winning, you tend to stick with the same team, and I think that's what Ponting will do. You'll probably stick with the same team. You don't change your winning combination. So, Mishra's time out in the middle might be short if Delhi Capitals keep winning, but that's an option for them. That's probably the only area where they could possibly make a change. The rest of it looks just superb. Everyone played their part today. The bowlers did great. The seamers did great. And when it came down to chasing that score down, it's a tricky score to chase down. If you had to put your blueprint out for how to score it, you'd ask someone to get you a good 50 or a big 40, see it through up until overs 14, and then a blitz of some sort. And that's exactly what they did. Tick, tick, tick. So, they're on the right path to winning this trophy right now. And they probably wouldn't want to change much. But the Ashwin Mishra, if you're looking for the extra spin and you're looking for a wicket taker, Mishra's your man. But the seamers seem to be doing it right now.
From teams that are winning, there are things that we're picking up about individuals, whether it was Andre Russell being used differently, or today Sanjay Rishabh Pant, who for his approach can come under the scanner a lot of times. But it does seem like this is what we're going to expect from Pant now for the rest of the season. And you don't mind it?
I just sent you a message, and it's a thought that came to my mind about what is Rishabh Pant for this generation. When Virendra Sehwag came along, we had the Dravids and Tendulkars getting truckload of runs, and then Virendra Sehwag comes in, and he was slightly different. He was a trailblazer. Got to his 100 with a six, 200 with a six, and a 300 with a six. That kind of batting was never seen before in Test match cricket.
I
And
played
Rishabh
that
Pant
game.
is that kind. of a yeah, there was another one in Multan as well, jail. In Pakistan, he did the same thing. This is, I mean, Virendra Sehwag unfortunately doesn't get mentioned as much. I mean, this guy has done phenomenal things. He missed his third triple hundred during the course of his career. So I think Rishabh Pant, with already a lot of Sehwag kind of players around hitting the fours and sixes at will, Rishabh Pant is a guy who's a trailblazer of this generation. Because you might think in England he failed, and sometimes, I mean, the first shot that he tried today, that's all calculated
Yeah.
risks that he takes. It is not out of desperation or he's confused or nervous. It is all pre-planned. And you saw in the end the advantage of having somebody who can hit the boundaries and sixes, fours and sixes. Then you don't get into a hole like the other day Punjab Kings got themselves into. So those are the advantages. But boy, I mean, Rishabh Pant is a great value to have.
Yeah, and I mean, even though the required rate wasn't 16 and over, it was 6 and over or 6.5 and over at the time. But that's what Pant does still. And it's not like sticking with the captaincy on a full time basis, at least for this season. For Pant seems to have changed that. He knows what he has to do as a batter. It has nothing to do with him being captain.
Yeah, and he's confident, and that's the most important thing. He's got confidence in his ability. And like Sanjay said, it's definitely premeditated. He's not standing there and then he's scared of a bowler and he's backing away and he's trying to play a shot. He knows exactly what Jason Holder was trying to do first ball, probably try and nick him off, and he's gone, well, if those guys are up, I'm going to run at you and I'm going to hit you for six back over your head because that's what I can do. And that's great, because when you're backing yourself 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to come off. So that's the kind of cricket that we're going to see from Pant, and I love it. I played against Sehwag, and I had nightmares bowling against that guy. I always knew that even my good balls were going to go for 4 with someone like Sehwag, and bowlers know that too, that they can't just run in and bowl a good length ball to Rishabh Pant, because one ball he's going to charge you, he's going to hit you back over your head for 6, and the next ball he's going to back into his crease and he's going to flip you over the wicketkeeper like he did to James Anderson and Archer. So you just don't quite know what to do with someone like Pant. And I just like the way that he goes about his business. He backs himself 100%, and that's all you can ask of players.
Well,
And
that's
also just
honestly
one
as
quick mention of a very rare and very nice quality to have in a T20 player. And Virendra Sehwag had it as a Test player as well, and Rishabh Pant has it as more a T20 white ball batter than a Test batter. Is that these guys don't fret too much about getting out.
yes.
Towards the end, you could see that he was still looking to hit boundaries. So there is a feeling always that you could remain not out and come back looking a hero. The averages get inflated a little bit, and the target was there to reach. But these are guys who don't care about getting out, and these people, are always so dangerous to the opposition. And more those kind of players you have in your team, more dangerous your team becomes.
Fair enough. Well, that's as much conversation as this one-sided contest deserves, really. On Maruti Suzuki presents
Shreyas
the
Iyer, I
Steyn
think we
Cricket.
should talk about Shreyas Iyer.
Shall we? All right, let's get into that. Shreyas Iyer, I thought I'd prompted
I'm
him a little
sorry.
earlier. One of those individuals. But yeah, it was perhaps an important game for Shreyas Iyer. He obviously could have made that India squad, Sanjay, if he would have remained fit or would have been, had
Yeah.
enough game time. But this was a good innings for him to at least remind the selectors.
There's one moment, you see these little things, and then you realize how important certain developments are in a particular match. You saw Ricky Ponting when he hugged Shreyas Iyer. It was almost like, wow, welcome back, and this is just what we needed. It plugs a little hole in, and it makes the team more foolproof. And the other thing that came to my mind is, Steve Smith, great, contemporary, great batsman and stuff like that. But this format, you can see that Shreyas Iyer is more cut out to play this kind of role than somebody like a Steve Smith. So that actually makes, Delhi Capitals even stronger. And today was a great evidence of that.
Yeah, I mean, he's ended up with an unbeaten 47 or 41 in a game where you could say he didn't really have scoreboard pressure, Dale, but it perhaps was a game with a little bit of pressure for him personally coming back. The balance of this team is on him. He gets an unbeaten 47, and that sets him up for the rest of the campaign.
Absolutely. That's what Ricky would have said to him. He said, go out there and get me 50 not out, please, and we win the game, And he would have said the same thing to Darwin, and he got 40 odd. And then somewhere along the line, you're looking for one big over that goes for 20 or 22, or a blitz of a batter like Richard Pans. And you also know that you've got Hetmeyer and Steyn in the dugout waiting. So Aya played the perfect knock for him tonight. It's his first game back, the first game of the IPL, or the second half of the IPL. And this is exactly what he needs to kind of kickstart his campaign again. Perfect knock.
Another
All
quality
right.
inning from Dhawan too. Brilliant.
Yeah, as good, as good. I guess we'll have enough occasion to discuss the Capitals. They were just so good. But that's it now. That's a wrap. Let's give Sanjay Manjrekar an early night, if 11:15 is an early night. So to Dale Steyn, who'll be back in a few days with us. Thank you, gentlemen. We will catch you again on Maruti
I need to
Suzuki
show you.
Presents T20 time. We
Yes.
shall
Thank you,
we
guys.
shall meet soon. Mumbai Kolkata tomorrow should be a good game. So join us then.
Mm.
We call it people technology.